All right, welcome to the Explainer. Today we're jumping into a virus. Its name can be a mouthful, but its main symptom, you will not forget it. Just excruciating pain. We're talking about chikungunya.
So that name, Chikungunya, actually comes from the Makonde language from Tanzania, where the virus was first spotted. And what it means? Well, it's pretty direct. It literally means that which bends up. And that's a brutally honest description, right? It's talking about the way people contort their bodies, just crippled by this awful joint pain.
And make no mistake, that pain is the defining feature. I mean, we're not talking about a little ache or soreness here. This is a severe, often debilitating pain that can completely incapacitate you. This is the kind of pain that just puts your life on hold. Simple, everyday things suddenly feel impossible.
Okay, so right now you're probably thinking, hey, this sounds a lot like dengue or Zika, and you're not wrong. They all come from the same type of mosquito, but here's the key difference. Each one carries its own signature threat. With dengue, you worry about the risk of bleeding. With Zika, it's the terrible link to birth defects. But with chikungunya, it's all about that intense, overwhelming joint pain. That's its calling card.
Okay, so let's dig into the nuts and bolts here. How does this virus actually work? And maybe more importantly, how did it get so good at spreading all over the world?
So, the culprit here is the chikungunya virus, CHKV for short. It belongs to a group called alpha viruses, which are RNA viruses. Now, that just means its genetic makeup is a bit like the flu or a common cold. But the way it gets around, deceptively simple: the bite of an infected mosquito. That's it. And it's incredibly effective.
You know, this transmission cycle is just a masterclass in efficiency. It kicks off when an infected mosquito, we're talking about the Aedes aegypti or the Aedes albopictus, the Asian tiger mosquito, bites someone. Then that person basically becomes a walking reservoir for the virus, with really high levels of it in their blood. So when a new, uninfected mosquito comes along and bites them, boom, it picks up the virus. And from there, it just continues this relentless loop, human to mosquito to human again.
And this timeline, wow, it really tells the story of how chikungunya exploded from a regional problem into a global one. So it starts in Tanzania back in '52, then it pops up in Asian cities. But the 2005 outbreak on Reunion Island, that was a total game changer. And by 2013, it had hopped across the Atlantic, setting up shop in the Americas and causing massive outbreaks, like the one we saw in Brazil in 2023.
But here's the thing. That mosquito bite, that's just the start of the story. To really get what this disease does to a person, you have to understand that it has two very, very different phases.
So first, you've got the acute phase. This thing hits you like a truck, usually for about a week. You get a sudden high fever, sometimes a rash, and of course that signature awful joint pain. But then, and this is the really cruel part, for a lot of people, the chronic phase kicks in. The fever's gone, but that joint pain, it sticks around. We're talking months, sometimes even years. It can turn into something that feels just like inflammatory rheumatoid arthritis.
And get this, the scale of this chronic problem is just staggering. This isn't some rare one-in-a-million complication. For up to half of everyone who gets infected, that pain becomes a long-term battle. It just doesn't go away.
So this obviously brings up a huge question. What on earth is happening inside the body to cause this? Why does that pain just stick around?
Well, the leading theory is all about persistent inflammation. And researchers are looking at two main possibilities. One idea is that the virus itself is literally hiding out in the joints, just continuing to cause trouble. The other idea is that the body's own immune system basically gets stuck in attack mode. It keeps sending out inflammatory signals, even after the virus is mostly gone, causing all that pain and damage.
Okay, so that's the problem. It's a big one. What's the solution? Let's talk about how we're actually fighting back against this bending sickness.
All right, so the treatment plan really depends on what stage of the illness you're in. In that first acute phase, it's mostly supportive care. Rest, lots of fluids, and basic pain relievers. But as that pain starts to stick around, doctors might bring in stronger stuff like corticosteroids. And for those who get stuck in that chronic phase, well,
That's when they bring out the heavy hitters, drugs called DMARDs, things like methotrexate, which are designed to tackle the deep-seated inflammation itself.
It's also interesting to see that other approaches are being looked at. For instance, one of the sources we looked at goes into the use of homeopathy to help manage symptoms. The idea there is based on a concept called genus epidemicus, which is all about finding one specific remedy that could help a whole population during an outbreak.
But honestly, the biggest news here, the real game changer, is on the prevention side. And it's a huge breakthrough. In November 2023, the very first vaccine for chikungunya got the green light for use in the US. I mean, this is a brand new shield in our arsenal, a way to protect people before they even get a single mosquito bite.
And all of this brings us right back to the big picture. Why this isn't just a tropical disease anymore, but a global challenge that, frankly, could affect any of us.
Just look at this number for a second. More than 110. That's how many countries have now reported cases of chikungunya. It's just a stark reminder of how quickly these things can travel in our world today.
And when this virus hits a new place where nobody has immunity, the numbers are just staggering. Take the Reunion Island outbreak in 2005, 250,000 people. India, a year later, over 1 million cases. And when it got to the Americas, over 1 million cases in just a couple of years. These aren't just numbers. They are massive public health emergencies.
And behind all those huge numbers are real people, feeling real fear. This comment from someone online really captures it perfectly. This is scary. The prolonged consequences sound very painful. It just perfectly sums up that core anxiety about this disease.
So really, here's the bottom line. This is what you need to take away. Chikungunya is so much more than a bad fever that goes away in a week. It's a thief. It can literally steal your quality of life. The true danger is that chronic pain, that long-term disability that can mess with your job, your family, your everything.
So that leaves us with a final, really critical question for all of us. In a world where we're all connected by travel and where climate change is letting these mosquitoes move into new territories, how do we get ready for the next bending sickness? Because it's not a question of if, but when.